Sister Charlotte.
Hi, Sister Mandy.
Welcome to Family Home Evening.
With Bad Mormons.
Where it's just the two of us and
Sisters.
our one listener from high school.
Thanks, listener.
Just kidding. We have like 7 listeners and they're all our patrons.
They're not all my mother. Just kidding. Our mom doesn't listen to this shit.
God, please. I hope she doesn't listen to it. If she does listen to it, she's playing a really long game by pretending she's not.
She's not that good. She's not that good. She couldn't hold her tongue. She would tell Laurie to tell us.
Yeah. And Laurie would for sure tell us
that we need God.
Or at least Laurie would tell Tiffany.
Who would then tell us.
Tiffany would tell us.
And then go call Richard.
So it would get back to us is what we're saying. Anyways, hi.
Hi.
Our family's kind of fucked up.
It's fine.
It's totally fine. We just have family home evening where we get drunk.
And tell you stories of stupid shit we did that we should probably be dead from.
Exactly.
Right? And, sometimes we make fun of Mormon recipes. Thanks, Super Fresh Candy Pants.
We always make fun of Mormon something or other. And let me just be clear. We're not here to bash anyone's religion. If you want to believe some freaky weird cult, that's completely fine with us.
That is your jam. Good job.
You do you, boo.
I will only just make fun of you slightly.
Yeah. You got it. You're putting yourself out there for ridicule, but we're not here to hate.
Nope. Our whole family is pretty much Mormon, except for, the smart ones.
Oh!
I'm just kidding. Our cousins are not dumb. But
anyway, if you were wondering why you turned this podcast on, that's why.
Well, let's not lose them now. Let's get into some good stuff.
Like, what are we drinking?
I had a birthday.
Yes, you did, and it was fabulous.
It was fabulous. We went to a fabulous dinner. Well, it was better. If you're in Palm Springs and you go to Mr. Lyons, the ambiance is on fucking point. Their food is a little, could be better. Their wine was served too cold. No,
the wine was good.
The wine was good. That's right.
Yeah, it was good. I was actually looking forward to going to that place for dinner for my birthday last year in Palm Springs, but COVID was in like raging full force mode, so everything was closed.
Right. Okay, that's right. So when did we drink this wine before?
So this was the bottle. So what we're drinking. Let's get back on track here. What we're drinking is a cab from Gurgitch Hills Estate in Napa from 2016. And so after Palm Springs, we went to Joshua Tree to the desert, and I had it in the cooler to keep it, cold because it's balls hot out there right now.
So hot. But you know what? Not in the evening time. It gets cold because it's the fucking desert.
That's true. So we pulled out Charlotte's birthday bottle, which is this exact bottle that we're drinking now, and I had it in the cooler in ice, so it was really way too cold to be served. And then so I left it out for a little while, and yeah, like Charlotte said, colder at night, the sun's going down.
Right.
Plus we have these really cool, like, insulated, kind of like Yeti wine glasses.
Cups, yeah.
But they're not Yeti, they're like some other brand. But that shit really keeps your wine or cocktail or whatever cold/warm.
It's fucking awesome.
So I served the wine too cold. It stayed in the insulated cups too cold, and we dragged that shit out for hours, and it was still not served at the proper temperature. So I feel like we didn't really get to fully experience the bottle.
That's a fair assessment.
So I got another one.
Well, let's try it now. Let's see if it's worth it.
Cheers.
I mean,
It's okay.
I wouldn't spend $75 on it.
It's very clean. It's not sulfitey at all.
No, you don't get that, like...
There's no jamminess.
Right.
It's light.
It's not earthy, though. Like, I like them earthy.
I feel like it's a Pinot. I feel like it tastes more like a Pinot.
And I could be wrong, and it also could be because I just drank fucking whiskey. Sometimes we like to pre-party before we start so that we're a little, like, lubricated, which always seems like a great idea at the time. I mean, let's just do a quick shot. It'll be great. We gotta loosen up, and then we do it, and then I just get immediately fucking wasted.
In case you're wondering too, we always play this song as we're taking our whiskey shots to pre-party to get ready to talk to you guys and entertain you.
Fucking Cobra Kai, motherfucker.
That's all you get. If you don't know what that is, then wow.
Maybe we'll play it in our Facebook page or something. I'm getting a chemically taste from it.
No.
I get it. Could be the whiskey.
It's the whiskey.
I'm getting a real Rancho Capistrano winery vibe from this, and I'm not liking it.
No, I don't feel like that. I feel like it's probably the whiskey.
Okay.
But it's just not, it doesn't have any of that depth or like earthiness.
Because I like a good Pinot, and that's light. This one's just not my favorite.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a good
I
wine.
mean, I'm going to drink it.
Yeah.
I don't want to drink it. But
Yum will drink this whole bottle.
Yum will go drink this.
Yeah, it's very, I think it would be good for people who like a really bright berry flavored wine.
It's bright. It tastes bright.
And we like dark, leathery, like Satan in hell.
We like it to be real gothic.
Mm-hmm.
We'll drink your gothic wine.
Which is a feat, because usually when you get a really deep, dark, umami kind of wine, it gets really jammy.
And that's also gross.
So we're very particular about our wine.
Turns out I am a prude. No, that's not right.
You're a professional.
I'm a professional drinker, turns out.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody bought me this bottle and I drank it, cheers, I'm going to drink it. But would I go in the grocery store and be like, $75? No.
Yeah, no.
That's a negative.
I'm glad we tried it at the proper temperature just so we could be sure.
Right, for 100%. I mean, I just wish that maybe Jordan would take accountability for their actions, apologize, and then I can go back to drinking them. That would be real nice, Jordan, if you would get your shit together.
Stop donating money to the fucking orange devil.
Right? I mean, the guy fucking lost. So just save face, apologize, and I can start drinking your delicious wine again.
Who are you giving a shout out to before I rudely interrupted you?
No, it's okay. I didn't take any cues. Patrons, I just want to say thank you. And one in particular, as I was getting ready to set up, James, so awesome. That, he's like, I just want to buy you ladies a couple drinks every month. And I appreciate that from the bottom of my alcohol-fueled heart.
I also think that we've been kind of lagging on, because we keep getting drunk with Courtney and doing Zoom calls, and then I keep threatening to upload the videos, and I'm like, I think that's too embarrassing, so I don't upload them, thinking that maybe like people will forget. James doesn't forget. He's like, where's my fucking videos?
I pay for that shit. I want to see it.
So James, right after we're done here, I'm gonna upload those videos to Patreon, and you're welcome. Maybe, I don't know. It could be bad.
If you see my titties, I apologize.
There might be a nip slip here and there.
My shirt was very dangly.
Oh, God.
So did this just turn into an OnlyFans?
I think so, maybe.
Cool shit. What are we watching, reading, listening to? I personally signed up for this thing called Header. And it's like $50 a year. It's mainly self-help books, I try to read business books or ways to better myself.
Ways to get rich.
I just want to get fucking rich. I mean, is that so hard? Oh, Headway. Sorry. It is called Headway. And it breaks whole books down to 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Right? It's kind of great. So, I've read some of these books, so I listened to them again to see if they really captured the essence of the book. And they actually really did. So, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I read that during quarantine, and then that's when I really realized that, I was like, oh, I need to do better things with my money and savings. Savings is just sitting there doing jack shit for me and actually losing money every year by being in a savings account. I thought I was doing so well. But anyway, so I listened to it on this Headway, and turns out they captured a good portion of it. But what I figure is I'll listen to it. If I feel like it was a good book, then I might actually go then buy the book and actually read it. So
is it is it just a Cliff's Notes kind of thing? A summary?
It's essentially, yeah, and they read it to you.
Okay. So
I can listen to it, and then sometimes I'll listen to it, and then I'll go onto Facebook while I'm listening to it, and I'll not hear a damn thing that they said. I listened to it, but I didn't absorb shit. One of the books that I listened to was You Can't Multitask. Multitasking is a lie. And she's absolutely right. Multitasking is a fucking lie. But so what I'll do now is I'll listen to it while I'm reading along with it, and that works perfect for me. Because I also kind of realize I'm super kind of ADD and dyslexic, and I learn different than other people learn, and it took me talking to one of my clients about it because her son is dyslexic, and I was like, oh, and you're just like, yeah, we're all kind of but like, it was like all, I was like, well, it's too late for me now. I'm already graduated out of school. Like, and they're like,
learning's over.
Learning is over. I'm done learning. Yeah. So it turns out that I learned different than everybody. So it was. So I'm getting a lot from it. It's worth the $50. So headway.
Charlotte and we often joke that we're exactly the same person. Because we are.
Right.
And people get us confused for each other all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Are you guys twins?
Yeah.
Bitches.
Which I love because I'm like almost 10 years
Bullshit. That's what it is.
Don't worry. I feel like I'm starting to go downhill fast now that I'm almost, my late mid 40s. No, I'm in my early.
You're just your mid 40s.
I'm in my early late 50s. How about that?
No, you're in your.
Okay, right now I'm in my. Right now I'm in my mid 40s, but in a couple months I'm going to be in my early late 40s. Yeah, early late 40s.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I remember sitting around the beaver trying to figure out how all that. So you have a 10-year span. How does it work out when you're in your early 30s, your early late 30s, your mid 30s, your early late 30s?
I believe I was in my
30s.
early 30s or mid 30s when we were doing that too, and you guys are all like in your early 20s, and I'm like, fuck you, bitches.
Right.
You don't even know. And now look at us.
So sophisticated. Yes.
Good times. The more I drink this wine, the more I love it.
Turns out when I'm drunk, everything tastes great.
Mm. I love that headway idea because I miss reading, and I feel like I used to have, I don't know why I used to have more time. Now I don't.
I have
Doesn't
zero
make any
time.
sense.
I feel like I have zero time. So actually, I fall asleep to it more often now, and I'm like, no, but now I have to go back and re-listen to it. But it's 7 to 10, 15 minutes tops. So
yeah,
it's really good. I wish they would do it with more than just self-help books. Like I wish they would do it like, oh, I could listen to like Fahrenheit 451 in 15 minutes. That would be great.
Yeah, but then you would lose
you lose a lot out of it because these are nonfiction books. So actually, you're right.
It's more of a concept, like you're absorbing a concept versus like enjoying the process of reading the written word.
That's true. Yeah. But I know that with some of these books, like I needed to read it at a slower pace to be able to absorb it. Right. So, like I said, it's like I'll listen to one if I feel like, oh, I got a lot from that in 15 minutes. I'm actually going to go buy that book and then read it. Yeah. In theory.
Oh, I got sidetracked. I was going to say, I think the reason I started talking about how we're the same person is because I'm also dyslexic, mildly dyslexic, like not diagnosed or anything, but I always transpose numbers. I have to be really, really focused. Right. Otherwise I would fuck shit up and I would just do it exactly backwards. I do that with directions. I'm exactly backwards of what I'm supposed to be.
Oh, that actually rings true to me too.
If I try to I tried to, Cyrus, when I was living with Cyrus in San Francisco, he would spin records. My husband, Cyrus, yes. Yeah. From last week's episode.
Also, just a little quick, sorry, Mandi is married. She's been married for 10 years. This is nothing new.
Yeah. Thanks for your well wishes. A little late, bitches. I was going to say he would spin records, and I would try to, like, that whole idea is, like, you line up the beats, right? So that you match
so you
up
kind of,
to...
do you see it on a computer, like...
No, you listen to it. You have one headphone on, and you
that's
listen
why
to
they
one,
go like that.
And then you've got your other ear listening to the other. I'm sure there's a much more high-tech way to do it now, but back in the day, that was how you did it. And I would always get the beats exactly opposite instead of lining up perfectly, which apparently what I was told by the people teaching me was that's actually really incredibly hard to do. And I was like, it just comes naturally to me. Everything's backwards. I do everything exactly backwards of what it's supposed to be. So
nice.
Anyway, that was my
DJ
point.
Mandi Man. What's your name now? Sorry, I made you a man.
It's okay. That was my point of
being dyslexic.
Yeah,
and that we're the same person.
Which reminded me of the time that I met Anne for the first time.
The Woman of the Year of San Juan Capistrano?
Yes.
Love her. And it's a short story, so I feel like this is fair.
Okay.
And totally relevant. And she's fucking awesome. Okay. And so are we.
So that'll be my cool shit for this week.
Okay.
It was the first time I met Anne. I was sitting at Mission Grill at the time, no longer exists, and I was waiting. Charlotte was bartending, and I was here on vacation, and I have a lot of tattoos.
All over her back.
All over my back.
And Mandi and I
dress
dress very similarly anyways. And we have this same haircut.
At the time, we had the same haircut.
I did not copy her on purpose. My hairstylist just gave it to me, and as soon as he turned me around to look into the mirror, I was like, well, you just made me look identical to my sister.
You don't need to make up excuses, Charlotte. I know you want to be just like
me. Ask for that. Okay,
it's fine. So anyways, I'm sitting at the bar, and all of a sudden, I feel these hands on my shoulders, rubbing my back, like coming to my spine, down my spine, like basically all over my tattoos. Right. And I hear this voice. And she's like, I had no idea you had all these tattoos. And it wasn't like, the touch was very gentle. It wasn't like aggressive. So I didn't, jump up and like smack a bitch. Right. But I definitely was like, I turned around slowly and I was like, what the fuck is this now? And as soon as I turned around, it was Anne, who I'd never met before. And she kind of stepped back and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I thought you were someone. And then Charlotte pops around the corner. She's like, did you think she was me? And Anne was just mortified.
She was so mortified.
And me and Charlotte are laughing. I didn't know who she was, but it happens often enough to where I'm like,
But I feel like that was like really the first time that really happened.
Well, that was the first time a woman had felt me up from behind. Listen, a stranger felt me up from behind. The funny
thing is Anne's not really a touchy-feely person. Like, she'll do hugs, but like she's not. So for her, she was just like, wow, Charlotte, I can't believe you have all these tattoos that I never knew about. And then it turns out it wasn't me. And it was great because she was just like, I want to die now. And I'm like, no, and you're the best. And she is Woman of the Year because she's the most awesome person ever.
It's really hard not to say her last name.
It's so because her name is
we
one
always
word.
Say her last name.
Right. Totally. I've had to stop myself. Had to stop myself like 5 times.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, she's great. But my favorite story about people mistaking us was when we went into the Swallows. I think I had the day off. I don't think I had just gotten off of work. So I had the day off and we were in there drinking and we're sitting right next to each other at the bar, talking and drinking. And this guy that I know from the bar who drinks there comes over and he starts talking to you. He's like, hey, how's it going? And blah, blah, blah. And you're talking for a little while and I'm looking at you and you're looking at me and I'm like, this motherfucker, like, he thinks you're me. And so you stop him like kind of halfway through. And to be fair, he is fairly drunk. Mm-hmm. But you're like, I think you think I'm somebody else. And he just looks at you and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then he looks straight at me and says, oh my God, I thought as he's staring at me, pointing towards you, I thought she was the girl who works over at Mission Grill. And I just look at him, I'm like, you mean me? And he's like, I'm so sorry, I'm so drunk, I gotta go. And I'm just like, wow. So you look more like me than me, apparently.
I hope now that COVID restrictions are lifting and we can go out and socialize again, that we can play this game a little bit more, because my whole time I've lived here, we've been in lockdown pretty much, so
true.
We haven't got to play our game.
But I feel like I'd have to cut my hair short. Because to be fair, when all of this had... Ooh, yeah, let's put some extensions in. Mm-hmm. And then people will just be like, Charlotte, be like, oh, who? Who's this Charlotte of which you speak?
Touch my back.
I demand you touch me. Not that Anne listens to our podcast, but if she does, we love you.
Yeah,
if you didn't catch that already, I love you. So, yeah.
Do we have anything to repent for?
That's what I was just thinking. I've already repented to Darnell. I apologize.
I feel like we did pretty good last week.
Our love was lost. I understand that now. I do have his phone number. I promise I won't call you.
I apologize for nothing, really. I'm fucking awesome.
Right? I apologize for not getting microbladed sooner. My eyebrows are on point.
So jealous.
For those of our patrons who get to see our YouTube videos, you're going to notice that either me or Mandy during the call will have amazing eyebrows. And that is because Zoom has an amazing feature that gives you a little bit of lip rouge and perfectly shaped eyebrows.
It's a filter, a beauty filter.
But only one person can have it at a time. So we would fight over it. And I just decided to maybe I should just get my eyebrows done for realsies all the time. And I got that done today and it was kind of amazing. Mm-hmm. They put a numbing cream on, but they essentially tattoo your eyebrows on, but it's not permanent like a tattoo. It'll only last a year. And instead of poking in and out like a hole like tattoos do. It's a razor that does slits. And so it mimics the eyebrow hair. Anyways, so if you ever thought about getting it, just check out my pictures from here on out and see how glorious I look. I look like Groucho Marx right now, by the way. I look fucking ridiculous. But in a week and a half, I'm going to look fantastic.
And I'm going to be so jealous.
But not right now. In a week and a half, you'll be so jealous.
Once you stop looking like a circus freak, I'm going to be so jealous of you.
You whore. All right, well,
I did have a couple things for current events, but I don't know if I'm just going to do a little brief rundown of some things that are happening in the world that I was excited about.
Ooh.
The first one being that the investigation into Trump and his tax fraud and his income fraud and all of that stuff has gone from basically a New York City civil case into a New York State criminal case.
Fantastic.
So that's fun.
Okay, so now I'm thinking about it. I think I did read a little bit of something about it, and it has to do with the charities, right?
Yeah, the charities are included, but it's basically, essentially, there has to be a lot of evidence for it to go this far, obviously.
Right. So especially go against an ex-president of the United States, right?
So I feel like I'm pretty stoked about that. But essentially what it is like you're inflating your assets, right? So that you have better, you can secure better loans and you have better value for borrowing more money and things like that. And then you underreport when you are reporting for your taxes, so you have to pay less taxes. So you're inflating it to somebody else and you're deflating it to somebody else to maximize your revenue.
Right.
Which is fucking illegal.
I'm surprised. It sounds like what rich people do all the time.
They do.
Right.
They do. But apparently he's not very good at it, just like he's not very good at anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So that's fun. And then while I was kind of scrolling through the internets today, I came across this article. So Marjorie Greene, a Republican representative from somewhere or other that I can't fucking remember, she was on a podcast this week, and she basically compared Nancy Pelosi's decision to continue to require members of the House to wear masks on the chamber floor. She compared that to steps the Nazis took to control the Jewish population during the Holocaust. I'm not even fucking kidding you, and I'm only laughing because it's so
outlandishly
ridiculous,
insane.
right?
Yeah, totally.
Her words exactly. Here, let me read them to you. She says that Pelosi accused her of being a hypocrite for asking Republican members to prove they've all been vaccinated before allowing them to be in the House chamber without a mask. And then this is her quote. She says, we can look back at a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star, and then they were definitely treated like second-class citizens, so much that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany, end quote.
Wow.
This fucking bitch. If I ever see her, I think it's worth a little jail time to punch her in her goddamn fucking face.
I mean, do you get more jail time if it's a representative of our country, or is it just punching anybody in the face?
Probably more time. Although, what about just a quick old kick to the cunt? Would that be less
in the cunt?
Would that be less jail time or more jail time than a punch to the face?
I'm refraining from singing "Kick in the Cunt" so hard right now.
Give it just a little kick in the cunt.
A kick in the cunt?
A kick in the cunt. We just watched Run, Ronnie, Run, and it's never gonna end.
Holds up. It fucking holds up.
I think we talked about it last week, but it's worth talking about twice.
Right?
If you haven't watched it.
David Cross and Bob Odenkirk are fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And the funniest thing is people are like, oh, Better Call Saul. And yeah, he's great in it, but just Mr. Show is really fucking fantastic. And I don't know how it took me so long to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, too, going back to this article, Marjorie Greene says she refuses to disclose her personal vaccine status.
Of course she does, because she's a fucking cunt.
And obviously Pelosi, being the Grandmaster Queen of sass, declined to comment on this insignificant little
right, because it's fucking
soiree.
Beneath her, because everything Marjorie Greene does is fucking ridiculously stupid.
Mm-hmm. And we hate her, and she stinks.
We hate her, and you smell like fucking Fig Newtons.
Jewish space lasers. That was her, right?
Yeah, probably. I don't fucking know.
Anyway.
She's definitely QAnon-esque. Well, before we go to a break, I would like to let everyone know who's ever wondered what the fuck is a spotted dick.
Oh, I'm wondering. Me.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it said in the past. I'm like, well, what is it? Like, what could possibly be a fucking spotted dick? Like, if you had to guess, what would you think a spotted dick is?
Food.
Yes, but like, me, like a sausage. I'd be like, oh, it's got to be some sort of like bratwurst, but like...
Spotted dick. Yeah, because you think like dick reminds you of,
Right, like a hot dog kind of a thing, right? So when
like Ramsay with the sausage on the fork in Game of Thrones.
Right. Yes.
Sorry.
So going back to our...
The Mormon Trail Cookbook of Justice.
Yes. I have chosen this week's What to Pair with the Pioneer Food Fill in the Blank to Spotted Dick.
Fabulous.
Essentially, it is flour, salt, baking powder, breadcrumbs, suet.
Some kind of fat.
Right.
Animal fat, I think.
Okay. Sugar, currants, which are raisins, and milk. And then I was like, what the fuck? How do you make that? So you fill a steamer with water, you put it on the boil, you mix together the flour, the salt, and the fill in the blanks. Make a well in the center, add enough flour, or add enough milk to make a fairly soft dough, form into a roll on a well-floured board, wrap loosely in a greased cloth, tying the ends together, steam over rapidly boiling water for 2 hours, unwrap the pudding, apparently it's a pudding, and put in a hot dish served with custard or a sweet white sauce flavored with cinnamon.
Do you want to know what suet is? I just found it on the internet.
Yeah, what is it?
It's the raw, hard fat of beef, lamb, or mutton found around the loins and kidneys. I'm showing her a picture.
It's gross.
It's real gross.
I used to be a butcher, for those who didn't know. I thought that would be something different. I thought it would be like, if you have like a big ribeye steak and it's got that big fat piece of fat. That does not look like that.
No, it has a high melting point because it's hard fat.
It's probably, it feels like a cartilage almost, but it's actually a fat. Okay, I know what it is. And it's gross. And that's
the Mormons pioneers loved that shit in their spotted dick.
Because they say they're healthy because they don't drink alcohol, yet they eat suet.
We're on to you, Jesus.
I would also just like to point out that essentially this is a white custard in the shape of a dick that they want you to put a sweet white sauce over. So I'm going to leave it.
There's a lot of dickness.
So much dick. Mm-hmm. Like, for a bunch of fucking prudes.
Well, how else do you have all those kids out there on the trail? Am I right?
So what would you pair with spotted dick with a white sweet sauce?
I would pair a blowjob. Oh, there's a drink called a blowjob too.
There sure shit
let's
is.
Do that.
Well, it's a shot, but you know what? I'll allow it. I will allow it.
Because I already have 13 children. I don't need any more. I'm going to swallow that. And with that, we're going to take a little break. Well, we go rinse our mouths out with soap.
And Listerine.
Or wine.
It's going to be wine.
Hey there again, girlfriends. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to check out our feminine hygiene line, Temple Twat. Our goal is to help keep your hole holy. I'm here to share with you our brand new product, Disappointment Diaper. Heavenly Father and I know that each time you give your husband the red rain check, that's a missed month of creating a new soul for your sect, the potential for a new prophet, a future bride for Uncle Hollis. Disappointment Diaper is like an adult diaper, only about 4 times the size. Worn under your garments, Disappointment Diaper is meant to puff out, letting all of your sister wives and fellow community members know that you failed at furthering the family this month. At the end of the week, when you're done simmering that spicy red clam sauce, chuck Disappointment Diaper in the wash. Hopefully you won't need it next month, but it's there just in case. So wash out those hip lips and give the mister another swing at the squish mitten. Disappointment Diaper from Temple Twat, helping to keep that hole holy.
Family Home Evening with Bad Mormons listeners get 10% off your first purchase of Disappointment Diaper with the promo code Death Valley.
That's 10% off your first purchase of Disappointment Diaper with the promo code Death Valley at checkout.
It's gonna be me.
Hey.
Hey, we're back.
Oh, that was fun.
Sure was. Creative executive, fill in the bank producer. I'm drunk. Why do you tell me to take shots beforehand? Like, you need to, like, loosen up. It's like, I'm trying to not black out by the end of each and every show.
It's a fine line. Listen, if we've learned anything about doing a podcast in the last year we've been doing a podcast, it's you can't be sober because that's boring.
That is
you can't
boring.
be blacked out because no one can understand you and you're laying on the floor in a puddle of your own urine going, so we have to find that sweet spot where we're funny and charming and not slurring and peeing on ourselves. I'm feeling good right now.
I feel great. I'm just saying, I'm looking at the rest of that shot and I'm thinking about taking it. And
See, she didn't even take her whole shot.
I haven't eaten today.
The listeners want you to do it.
Some of us have jobs, Mandy.
That sucks.
Shut your mouth. All right, whiskey.
All
Whiskey
right.
and wine, we're smart.
It's okay because it's fancy whiskey and fancy wine. So it kind of cancels each other out, sort of? No? Maybe? Not?
You know,
okay.
the funniest thing is I can sip whiskey all day long. Taking a shot of whiskey is fucking horrible.
To be fair, the whiskey I poured you was a sipping whiskey, too, so.
How upsetting that I can't just regurgitate it and start again.
It's okay. It was the very last of that bottle. It's time to buy a new one. The bottle, if you were wondering, is called Uncle Nearest. It's a really great story about a distillery that we won't get into right now, but if you're interested, let us know and we'll tell you about it next week.
Yeah. Email us at fhebadmormons@gmail.com.
I have a story to tell you.
Oh, I'd love to hear a story.
And this is a story that you haven't heard before.
Ooh.
And I've had it percolating in the back of my brain for some time. And I had to call my lifeline to remember some of the details because it was just so long ago and I was missing a lot of stuff. I was like, how did we get from point A to point B? So I called my friend Tammy, who you might remember from some previous episodes about her mother and some other situations. Oh yeah, her ghost story.
That one was a good one.
But it was great. Like I was like a little nervous. I haven't talked to her for a while. You know,
Right.
and it's like, and I didn't want her to be like, oh, I'm just using you to get stories for my podcast.
Right.
But it's just like, it had been an awkwardly long amount of time since we'd spoken. And so, we texted back and forth and I called her up and it was just like immediately, like no time had passed, of course.
Those are the best friends.
Like you are,
Yeah.
Like I've known Tammy since high school, you know,
Right.
so you can't really just like turn that off. So anyways, we had a long conversation. So I was like, we talked about the story, which I'm about to tell you. And then we went off onto a long tangent about UFOs and it was midnight and I was in the bathtub with wine watching UFO videos for the rest of the night. So that's the kind of situation we got into. But we'll save that for another podcast. Anyway, so the story I want to tell you is about a time when Tammy and I were living in Bellingham and we decided, it was Christmas, we decided we were going to drive home to Utah to visit our families for Christmas. And I don't remember what year it was, but it was in the early days because Tammy had her Bronco. And so we're driving. So this drive to Utah from Bellingham takes about like 12 hours or so usually. It's Christmas, so it's winter. And there's a couple mountain passes that you have to go over. You have to go over the Blue Mountains at least. And we're driving down. So we're basically driving down the coast. I can't remember the name of the highway, but you kind of veer off before you get down. It's like right around Olympia, I think. Maybe a little before then. You veer off and you head towards like Ellensburg, Yakima.
Yeah, okay, yeah, totally.
Pendleton, right? And then you start heading east. And so we're driving her Bronco. We get down to Yakima and we're on the freeway and all of a sudden I'm driving, Tammy's asleep in the passenger seat, and all of a sudden the transmission is just grinding and making a horrible noise. Like before I even had a chance to like do anything, Tammy woke up, and I looked at her. This was Tammy's recollection too. She's like, you looked at me and you were like, something's wrong.
Oh no.
She's like, no shit. But yeah, something's wrong. So we pull over, we get off the freeway, And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Yakima, Washington. It's there's some pretty fucking ghetto areas of Yakima, right?
We have a lot of friends from Yakima.
Yeah,
We've heard
we do.
a lot of stories about it.
Yeah.
And also,
And there's, obviously different neighborhoods and whatever, but there's a lot of ghetto shit in Yakima. So we pull over in probably one of the more ghettoer areas, right? We get as far as we can, it's like the first exit we can find, go to a service station, and they're like, yeah, your transmission's fucked, basically. We're going to need to get you a part, but it's not going to be here until... sorry, let me back up a little bit. So we get there, it's late at night, the service station is closed, and so we need to basically stay there overnight so that we can get into the service station the next morning so they can tell us what's wrong. So we're very poor. Like, this is the very beginning of like moving out on our own, and so we scrape up like whatever money that we had for our trip to get a hotel room for one night. We didn't have credit cards and shit.
Sad.
I know, right? But you remember, like, if you think back, you remember
hard.
those days, So we pulled our money together. We got a hotel room, and it was
just slept in the car.
It was winter.
Oh, got it. Okay,
so it's really cold, and it's a real shitty part of town, right? So it's a real shitty motel. Yeah. And it was one of those where it's kind of like, if you hear gunshots, just roll onto the floor, get into the bathroom,
Jesus.
Put the mattress up kind of situation. So we stay in this room, we're out of money. We go to the, service station in the morning, and they're like, yeah, your transmission's fucked. We can get you a part. But it's going to take, we have to order it. It's going to take
3 days.
No, it's going to take like a week at least to get here. So we're like, fuck, what do we do? We're not quite halfway to our destination yet, but we're pretty close. So we're like, well, fuck it. Let's just keep going. And so I think Tammy's...
We keep going with the transmission being fucked?
No. Keep going. Basically, we have the option either to go home or go get to Utah somehow. Right?
Oh, okay, got it.
Or we can't. We're penniless.
Well, you said keep going. So I'm like, how does one keep going?
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
So Tammy called her dad, who Tammy mostly had lived with her mom, and her dad was like super cool, but like kind of living his own life, and like had a new wife that was not insane and doing his thing or whatever. So she called up her dad, and he hooked us up with bus tickets for the Greyhound bus, so that we could get back to Logan. So it's just like, I don't know, noon or something when we're at the service station, and the bus doesn't leave until like, I don't know, 7 p.m. or something. So we're like, well, what the fuck do we do till then? Again, no money, no car, we got our little backpacks or whatever. And the guys at the service station are like, well, you could probably go hang out, there's a trailer behind the service station where these guys are living, and they're selling Christmas trees out of there, so you could probably like hang out with them. We're like, okay. I guess it's something to do. So they introduce us, and it's actually this dude and his wife and their little kid, their little toddler baby.
Okay.
And they're really sweet and super cool, and they're just like, we're poor, they're dirt fucking poor.
Right.
They're just like really trying so hard, just like, they're selling Christmas trees, for God's sake, living in a trailer in the middle of somebody else's parking lot. So it's like, it was really just like, shit, these guys are really poor. And so, like, they're super nice to us. Tammy was a weed smoker. I wasn't really super into it, but these guys were into smoking weed too, so Tammy smoked them out, and they were super stoked about that. And the lady made us dinner, and I remember we were, like, in their trailer eating spaghetti, and obviously, like, the poorest of poor people food, right?
Right.
But it was so cool of them to, like, make us dinner.
Right.
And, those, like, lighters that have the long extension, so you light, like, a barbecue or a fireplace or something so you don't burn yourself. So there's a little reserve of gas in the handle of those things, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what she was using to light her gas stove in her little trailer. I don't want to call it an RV, but it was like kind of like a trailer situation. So she had left it too close to the burner, and it had melted a little hole in it to where the gas started leaking out, and she didn't realize it, right? So she goes to light it a second time, and that thing exploded in her hand, like, because it was covered in gas, and it just like, and then that lit the rest of the gas that was in there, burned her hand, like burned her face. There was a huge explosion, basically.
From a little fucking...
from the gas that's compressed in the handle of those.
There's not that much fucking gas.
it doesn't take that much.
Apparently.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a huge explosion, but it's like if you imagine you're in the size of a kitchen. Yeah, it's like it was a big fireball. And like the
I mean, like horribly burnt or just like
pretty bad.
Okay.
Like the ambulance had to come.
Got it. Okay.
And you know, I remember like I was holding her baby while her husband was like trying to take care of her, kind of thing. And you know, the ambulance came, they patched her up. She was okay, but she was definitely like bandaged up and wrapped up, and it was like not great. And then
ambulances are not cheap.
Exactly. And that was about the time when we were like, well, we have to get on our Greyhound bus,
right?
You know, to go to Logan. So we're like kind of waving like bye, and it was weird and awkward and sad and everything. So I don't know.
I want to send them money, and I know it's like 40 years ago.
I know. So we get. Oh, and then the guy actually ended up giving us a ride to the Greyhound station in his like shitty car.
Really
so that was really nice.
Stoners unite.
Yeah, they were really nice to us. So we get on the bus.
Jesus, the story isn't over. Where else is it going?
Well, it's not. It doesn't go too much farther, but
no, I'm just like now. I don't know. I'm feeling bad.
Yeah, I know. It's bad. It was a really crazy thing. So, from Yakima to Logan, Utah, usually would probably take about 7 hours, 8 hours, maybe at that point.
Yeah,
maybe a little longer.
Right.
It took us 26 motherfucking
Jesus
hours.
Fucking Christ.
To get there on a Greyhound bus.
Logan is not that cool.
It's not that cool. And we got from Yakima to Pendleton, which is not that far. There was a layover in Pendleton, so it was like a nighttime, you know, basically we got to Pendleton at like 3 or 4 in the morning from Yakima, and we had a layover. So we're out there with all the fucking meth heads, all the crazy people. So... So we hang out with the crackheads, with the meth heads. We get back on the bus. Finally, 26 hours later, we get to Logan.
How much meth did you do?
None. Okay. Absolutely none. I was not doing meth at that point. And so we get to Logan, and, you know, we hang out with our families, and we were like, we're never fucking going home for Christmas ever again. This is bullshit. This fucking sucks. But then, you know, we get home, and we have fun, and we hang out with our friends and everything, and then it's time to go home, so we have to go pick up Tammy's car in Yakima to get back to Bellingham.
I was wondering about outdoor cars. Like, did you just ditch it? Or?
Yeah. So, again, Tammy's dad came through for the win.
Thanks, Tammy's dad.
He drove us. He was living in Colorado, and I think in Telluride. Oh. He drove to Logan, drove us back to Yakima to pick up the car, and he was not, like, having any bullshit with the price of that transmission either.
Oh, nice.
It was just, like, dad to the rescue.
Oh, that's so nice of him.
So, yeah.
He probably was just jonesing for a road trip, apparently, because, maybe. God, Colorado to Utah to fucking Yakima, Washington.
Right.
Fuck.
Well, it's his kid, you know? Like, our dad would do the same for us.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want dad to do that. Like,
but if you're fucking poor as shit, and you're, you know, like, you spent your last cent to get home for Christmas.
Also, if you lived in Telluride, you got money.
I know, right? So, anyway, we got the car, and we got back to Bellingham, and we lived to see another day.
To tell the tale.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a story, and my story is also about going to go to Logan to visit.
Really?
Yes. It's funny, I hadn't told the story in a long time, and I was telling somebody about it the other day, because it was like, oh, near-death experiences, or whatever. And, so what had happened was I was 18 years old. You know, we've always done the transfer of children in St. George, right? So dad would drive to St. George from Logan. Mom from Orange County would drive to St. George, and we'd do a kid swap or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like we did a kid swap, but we all hung out with each other, so I don't know how that worked out exactly.
No, it was, so they would meet for the first half of summer. Dad would drop off his kids to Mom. Mom would take us all.
Okay.
And then they would go back and meet for second half of summer. Mom would give us all to Dad. And then they would do it a third time to split them back up.
Yeah, you're right. I just didn't remember having to do it twice in a single summer.
Yeah,
or
three times,
Three
actually.
times, right. Okay, so, like, I'm used to this drive. We do it a lot. But, like, we had that really shitty red truck that would always, 100%, every single time, break down. It would get overheated. We'd pull off to the side of the road. It would cool down, but then the battery would be so dead for whatever reason. Because you couldn't just get a new battery, because that would be fucking way too simple. But we had to get jump started every time. So we'd have to wait for somebody to come, then jump start us. And inevitably, somebody always did. And it was fine. And
this was back in the day before you had a little thing you could keep in your pocket that would jumpstart your car.
Totally. Or even a cell phone to call AAA.
Right.
Like, this was like, we had nothing. You just had to sit there and wait at the mercy of other people. Well, okay, with that being said, I had just bought my very first brand new car, like my only car I've ever had, right off the lot. Like, I had saved up my money from the time I was 16, and Hyundai had a really shitty reputation at this point. So I got my brand new 2001 Hyundai. I was like, what year was it? I don't even know. Hyundai Accent, and I got it for like, I want to say $9,000, but like, yeah, it's brand new off the lot. So I have this car, and I'm like, I'm going to go visit Dad, and I'm going to go by myself. I don't need anybody. I'm 18 years old. Whatever. So I get in my car, and, you know, Mom's house situation's not looking super great. And for those who remember Jamie, who introduced our mother to the polygamous people, she had lived with us for a little while, and I didn't really know anything about the past, and I actually really bonded with her pretty well. She was there for me at a time when the house was really shitty. Like, my boyfriend was being shitty. His parents were being awful. Mom wasn't even around, so everything was kind of going to shit around this time. And so Jamie was the only adult person in my life who seemed to give a shit. So I drove to Las Vegas, and I was like, I spent an hour in Las Vegas just trying to hunt her down, because I had an address from her, but I think it was old. Anyways, doesn't matter. Didn't find her. So I leave Las Vegas, and I'm going down the 15, and a big rig going the opposite direction had exploded. And it probably exploded minutes probably before I had gotten there, because there was nobody on the site. There was maybe,
it like in the desert, or was it in Las
Vegas?
Desert. Okay.
So we were well out of Las Vegas, and it was just stretches of desert. And there was one car that had pulled off to the side, but this thing was on fire. And I had seen the car, and I was in the fast lane, and mind you, I was going about 95 miles an hour, because I'm like, I want to see how fast my car can go, right? And
we are the same person.
It was brand new. So I actually see this car that's well ahead of me pull off to the side on the shoulder, and I don't think much of it. And I put my hand up to the window, and I'm like, God, I can feel the heat from that thing all the way over here. And that's when I look up, and I see I'm about to hit that fucking car, because they pulled half into the shoulder, half into the fast lane, and they didn't pull over far fucking enough.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, fuck me. So I turn off to the right. I didn't even look to see whether a car was there or not. And then I realized, I was like, fuck, I didn't even look to see if there was a car there. So I go back into the fast lane. Well, my car starts fishtailing hard. Like, I was like, I have
lost control.
All of this shit happened within 30 seconds. Like, you have no real time to think about anything. I can think about it now in slow motion, but at the time, all of this shit happened in a blink of an eye. Mm-hmm. So my car is fishtailing, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm fucked. I'm gonna die. There's no getting out of this. I know my car is about to flip. I can feel it, because it is a little tiny car. It's a 2-door whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, God damn it. And I'm just like, well, great. So you got two options here. You are going to flip your car, and you're going to be a vegetable for the rest of your life. You're not getting out of this unscathed, or you die. What are your options here, and what would you rather do? And I was like, I would rather fucking be dead than be a vegetable. Fuck this. Jesus. So by the way, if I die, pull that fucking plug, because I don't want to be a fucking vegetable.
Done.
Anyways, so I'm like, well, okay, fine. Choice is made. Rather be dead than vegetable. I'm going to hit that gas as hard as I can, because I'm going to make this shit stick. And so I do, and little did I know that is exactly how you get out of a fucking fishtail. If I wanted to live, I would have hit the brakes, and I would have fucking died or become a vegetable. But I decided I'd rather be dead, so I hit the gas, and because I slammed on that gas, I got right out of it. And it was like,
oh shit.
Oh my god, I'm not going to die, and I'm also not going to be a vegetable. I need to pull the fuck over. I am freaking the fuck out. And then I was like, I realized there is no one around me at all. There's no car. Like, I could have easily just gotten over, and I would have been fucking fine. I was like, I didn't really see the point in pulling over. So I just kept going. Because I was on a mission. I had to get home. I had to get to Dad's house. So I was just like, oh, I gotta go. Did not tell Dad that story.
No.
If anything, I got in at around 11 o'clock at night. And Dad was like, wait, you're here? Like, he thought I would, like, spend the night somewhere, or it would just take me that long to get in, or I'd get in way later. And he's like, wait, what time did you leave at? And I was like, he's like, how fast were you going? And I was like, not that fast. Definitely didn't tell him about the fucking big rig. He would not have been okay with that. But yeah, so anyways, I was just like, if you got a choice, make the right one.
Yeah. I kind of knew, like, when you mention it like that, I knew that that's how you're supposed to get out of a fishtail, but I've never actually done it in practice.
I don't ever want to do it again in practice.
Yeah.
Now I do not go 95 miles an hour. I don't care how big the car is. Actually, now my car would absolutely flip because it's higher up.
Is that how it works?
The higher you are, the more roll chance you have. But I'll tell you what, my Hyundai was pretty fucking low to the ground. I without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, that thing was going to flip over.
Shit.
Because what would happen was I would brake, it would then spin, and it would then flip.
Right.
And I knew to let go of the wheels. But that's the funny thing is, like, I don't know these things, but I know these things. If I had hit the brakes, I also know to let go of that wheel. Yeah. Because that's actually when you flip, too. If you keep hold of the wheel, then it takes the traction, and it will then flip you.
Yeah. You're supposed to... Aren't you supposed to, like, turn into a fishtail? Well...
Honestly, if you overthink it, you're going to be fucked.
Well, I'm just thinking just for, like... to have those little nuggets in your brain for if something like that were to ever happen. It's like when you start to skid, you're supposed to like turn into the, like if you're driving in snow.
Right. Well, so if you were to try to go the opposite direction, that would be...
Yeah, you'd like move your back end and you'd
right.
make it
and then
worse.
you'd make it worse, right.
So you're supposed to actually turn into it.
Right.
To straighten you out.
Right.
I do not miss fucking snow driving, I'll tell you that. I learned how to drive in the snow, and fuck that shit.
I lived in Utah for only 4 months with my car, and I remember one time coming home from work, and you know, I'm not a careful driver. I was probably going a little too fast, but I went to go turn into our driveway, and as I turned to go in the driveway, I kept going forward because fucking black ice sucks balls. And then, but there wasn't enough of it that I just kept going, and then it hit the pavement and then put me into the fucking curb. God, I hate Logan.
No, you don't hate Logan. You hate black ice.
I hate black ice. I hate the weather of Logan.
I hate snow, except for when it's fresh and beautiful and powdery.
Right. When I'm in a cabin drinking hot cocoa with a bunch of fucking schnapps in it.
I hate it when it's filled with salt
and I can
dirt.
Look at it from a distance. I like it.
I hate it when it's slushy. I hate it when it melts and then refreezes.
I was going to say, my last little bit of I hate Logan fucking snow was the other time I was driving up to Dad's house. So we were poor. We lived down on like 4th North, essentially. And I decided to go up and visit Dad. And, you know, there's a couple ways to get up by the university. And Dad lives by the university. So the way I picked apparently is like the most steepest hill to get up there. So as I'm going up this hill and I see a car that's just spinning its wheels, and now it's starting to come backwards as it's still spinning its wheels to go forward, and there's nothing it can do except for go into the bank. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. They suck. I'm gonna make it. Well, okay, sorry, there was someone ahead of me that also thought the same thing, right? And actually that's what saved me. Like, I would have been the car ahead of me. He's like, oh, I see him go up it, and I see they hit about the same spot. And they start going down, and now they've got to try and not hit the
other car
that's already in the bank. And here I am going, it's my turn, I'm gonna do it. I'm a fucking moron. So I go up. I'm like, you guys just clearly have shitty cars, and my little silver fox is gonna make it up the hill.
My Hyundai.
My little Hyundai. So I do it. Sure as shit. There I am. And now I'm fucking in it. And I'm like, I just know it. I'm gonna hit one of these 2 fucking cars, and I'm gonna have to pay for it. It's gonna be stupid, and snow is dumb. But somehow, by the grace of our Father in heaven.
Heavenly Father.
Thank you. I was trying to think. I was like, how do we say it? Dear Heavenly Father. I happened to just turn the wheel enough at the right time, whatever. And I just get my car to somehow just turn around, and I just went down that fucking hill without going into the bank. And I'm like, sorry, suckers! And I left. And then I went the regular way up 4th North to get up to Dad's
The
house.
way you started telling that story, I was like, oh, so you saw the guy in front of you do it and you changed your mind, but no.
No. 2 people. 2 cars in front of me made the mistake, and I still went for it because I'm really smart. No. And when all else fails, take 4th North.
Let's think of a way we can be excellent to each other.
Well, I stopped arguing politics with people, so that's something.
I'm gonna stop comparing menial things to the Holocaust.
Oh, yeah, you don't do that. Only awful fucking people do that. Yeah. I think that's pretty good. I think we did good. We're going to be excellent.
We are going to be excellent. We're going to take this, we're going to remember it, we're going to move forward and grow and be better people.
Not blacked out this time. I will remember. Well, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
Are you enjoying our show? We hope you are, because we put a lot of wine into it.
Right? This wine does not pay for itself, so I thank our patrons for this.
Thank you, patrons.
Patrons. I don't know.
The patrons on Patreon.
There
We
you
love
go. Do you have any stories? Send us an email at fhebadmormons.com. I don't care if it's about you giving people money, you blowing a hobo. I don't care.
I was going to say, giving people money, giving people blowjobs.
Hey, are we the same person or are we the same person?
Check out our website. We've got some cool stuff going on. I think I'm really funny.
I still haven't made any merch, but I'm going to get around to it.
I write words and I laugh at them myself, so if no one else is reading it, at least I am.
I read it. I think you're funny.
We're on all the social medias.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. my favorite Pinterest.
TikTok occasionally.
God, you're old. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Hey, you know what? When you leave us reviews, people find us. They sure do. And our numbers are getting way up. I mean, I don't want to say that we're really important or anything, but we're getting to be really important.
We're kind of a big deal, and it's thanks to you. Thanks for
guys.
listening, and we'll see you next week with more tales about how we can't believe we're still alive.
This one didn't even include booze.